brain about other general success tips. I was looking on the back side too, because the motivation for behavior change questions are similar but different. You didn't have a specific behavior change, you did address obstacles. I'm just trying to, okay. Other general tips for people who are trying to achieve goals or be successful, like looking back at your own experience or now, because, okay, this is a good general question. You're a different man
Sure.
than you were. The French fry guy that you described, not you, not
No.
the you that I know.
No,
And
no.
you haven't been that guy for 21
And I don't recognize
years.
that guy either.
Right.
It's like that. Ooh.
So what happened? I mean, how that could be your transformation, basically.
But it wasn't like I wasn't Elsa and I didn't do this thing and all of a sudden I got all my powers. It was a slug, ugly.
Yeah. Ooh.
You know, little by little. How do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time. That's kind of the.
Well, you did talk much this time about the relationship stuff, so
Uh-huh.
maybe address that. Like, you're a different guy relationally. You're in the bad marriage. You were accountable for how you needed to be different, but at the time, obviously, you weren't, because you weren't different. Like,
Well, okay,
when
and
did you
all right.
recognize, okay,
I was always trying to please. And this is, I mean, it's still, you know, and I actually, even my, you know, it's, you kind of have to almost get away from that mentality to trying to please, because when you're trying to please, you're not pleasing, you may not be pleasing yourself, and then that changes you. Then you're not yourself, which ultimately, then the other person doesn't like that person because it's not you. You understand what?
Right.
So that changes the whole dynamic of everything. So you kind of have to be, you know how they always say, just be yourself. You kind of really have to be just yourself, because as soon as you start to be somebody else, you're not true to yourself, and then that ultimately ends up you either cheating or you either having this other life, or not just, you know, because if you have a concept of yourself and there's, you know, I like myself. I really do. I think I'm a pretty cool guy. So there's a whole mess of things that I am, just because I don't share everything. Just because you can't appreciate all of the facets doesn't mean I have to shut them off to you. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing I heard you say first was you have to be your authentic self.
Yes,
basically,
yes, you have to.
And not worry about pleasing everybody.
Well, exactly.
Because then you end up on these paths that aren't.
Yeah, and then you realize, you know what? I'm all the way over here, and I'm not happy, and she's not happy either.
Mm-hmm.
And what was this all about?
Well, we've been talking about this model of behavior change. Maybe you're familiar with, you know, stages of change. The idea that you're a pre-contemplator and then you contemplate. Like, at some point, you in that relationship realize, okay, I wasn't the guy I needed to be
Right.
relationally, or you said I wasn't the manager I needed to be relationally.
Right.
I'm throwing French fries at people.
Right.
So, what are the moments or
Share myself.
Yeah.
I didn't share myself.
you were shut off?
I was shut off, and I live in my head all the time. And I realize that I'm talking to myself. There's a conversation. I'm thinking I'm pretty cool, but I also think that you know what's going on up here, and you don't. So I need to be a little more verbal, a little more, let you know what's going on up here, because there's a lot going on. You know, with my first marriage, I had plans. I mean, I had plans for us. But I never told her. So she thought I was in a different place. I was really in, but she thought I was not. She thought I was, and it, you know, afterwards I actually told her, this. It's like I never knew that. I never knew that. So communication is everything, and communication, but you almost have to be like naked about it, just like. you know, let it kind of hang out.
If there was something, your management style too, there was something, maybe you just had some anger or something.
Oh, I
Didn't.
when you're frustrated, when
Yeah,
your
okay.
life is not what you want it to be, or you,
Right.
there's a undercurrent of frustration and rage and anger, and because you're not on the right path.
Ooh, okay, so maybe that's the tip. Make sure you're on the right
Yes,
path.
and that's the tip to everything, you know.
Find the right path.
And listen, if whatever it is you guys are young, you guys want to be on the correct, you know, because you know what sucks? Let me tell you what sucks. When you realize at 40 years old you hate your life. You know, imagine that being that guy. I'm glad I caught it at 28. But wouldn't it be cool to get it when you're your age and have to avoid all that other crap?
Right.
You know? So you gotta kinda and don't do anything because of, you know, I'm gonna make this much money, or you know what, my cousin does this, and or you know what, the worst one is my mom and dad want me to do this, or my dad wants, you know.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. What's here? Because ultimately, if you can, listen, if you are the I don't know, the best accountant ever, and you and that's not me, and that's, you know, but if you love accounting so much that you want to be the best accountant ever, you know what, you're going to be a damn good accountant, and you're going to make a lot of money, but not because you're, you study this, just because you love it so much. Okay? Because if I need an accountant, and there's this guy that's like, I want to do your books, man. I'm gonna hire that guy.
Right.
I don't want a regular guy. I want the crazy, like, passionate
Right.
guy about his, you know, that loves his numbers. Because I don't know numbers, but if this guy's like, that's the guy I want.
So find the passion.
Find the passion,
yeah,
man.
Right. What makes you? I think what's difficult is, like, you were 28 before you even knew what chiropractic was, and.
But there was underlying passion of natural health under all that. Like, I loved anything that had to do with that.
Right.
I didn't know what chiropractic was.
You're definitely more passionate about the restaurant business, which some people are.
Listen, if you know, do you ever talk about Ted Lasso?
No, I've been hearing about Ted Lasso.
You've never seen that show?
No,
Holy
Brene
crap.
Brown loves Ted Lasso. I'm like, gosh, I need to check that out.
You need to watch.
Yeah,
You need to. Okay.
I will.
Well,
It's good stuff.
I mean, and there's in that show.
You guys like it, so that's okay.
Do you just like it?
Ted Lasso was brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Because I'm like, you just like it? No.
Yeah.
That show is brilliant because it talks about. Now you should make that required for your
This guy loves
class.
Ted Lasso. I'll check it out.
For your
So
class.
He's inspiration. I know he's a coach or something.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's
So-
very everything, but it's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And actually, I learned some new stuff about
Cool.
from that show.
Because it's the goofy guy. I love him, but he's like.
Yeah. But no, it's a very very well made show.
Very
It is
well
brilliant.
done.
It literally is like a brilliant show.
Okay, we'll have to check it out
Yeah.
for sure.
But in one of those there's a guy that was in medical school, but he didn't really love it,
Not really.
so he's out making falafels, but that's what he loves, you know. And then the guy's like, this is the best.
Making kebabs.
This is the best doner kebab I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, that's the guy that loves it so much
He
because
loves kebabs.
he makes the best one.
Right.
So you gotta love everything that you gotta love what you do.
Okay, I like it. Okay, any other tips or any questions for Dr. Dan? Because we're almost, how did it become 2:45?
All right. Well,
No questions for Dr. Dan about chiropractic, tips for success, motivation? They're quiet and shy.
I am all over social media.
Yeah.
Look
Check
for
it
me
out.
on. I have a. If
Is
you.
it Natural Life Chiropractic?
Yeah, but I have a page. I have a Dr. Dan page.
Oh, okay, cool. Are you on, like, Instagram and everywhere?
There's my Instagram profile has a link, and it has all my stuff.
Yeah.
It's a link tree kind of thing, and it has all my stuff. And I even have a website, DannyDeRuiter.com. I have
Yeah.
all my stuff there.
And Natural Life has a website too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So if you would have known also what you know now at 20 years old,
Like this.
would you have changed anything at 20 to make your life kind of what you did?
Which would be different. I like that.
That's a hard question because it took everything to get me where here, and I'm almost afraid to like I wouldn't be as fired up
Yeah.
had not all that shit
That
happened.
stuff
Yeah.
happened, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think so. And like, would you? Do you have regrets? Oh yeah, man. Oof, so many. But I don't think I would change it just because of. I'm kind of good here.
I see what he's saying though. I think when I think about that, I think what would I tell Cal like that at his age? I wish I would have known. And one of the biggest things is some of the stuff you're talking about in terms of primitive or primal responding, as opposed to and thought influencing, positivity. I guess like when he was very little, I would use cognitive principles
Yes.
of. What are you thinking that's upsetting you? What needs to change? How do you need to change your thinking?
Absolutely.
To
And pay attention to your body.
respond
Because you
to
know
it,
what?
yeah.
Your body tells you everything.
There you go.
Like if you are,
That's a good tip.
if you are, you know how, and here's another tip, and by the way, which is I yell at people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Watch your language. When you say, you're killing me, you make me sick. What are you telling your body? What are you saying, man? All right. So whatever you use language, like, I'm so stupid. Don't even say that, man. It just because what you take in affects this. Okay.
Yeah.
So be very careful on who you hang out with, and that's not you're gonna get in the wrong crowd. Thoughts you do not like. If you hang out around with a bunch of losers, don't expect your life to be much of anything, because you're that's so if you want and I've read book, what is it, Think and Grow Rich and all this.
Yeah,
you got to
right.
hang out with the people that are where you want to be, because that's gonna rub off on you.
Yeah.
Your
circle. You gotta mind your
Exactly.
circle, right?
So if you want to be ultra successful, don't hang out with the losers, because you know what? They're going to be like crabs in a bucket, and you try to get out, and they're going to go.
Yeah. See, that's interesting about your experience. Even the people closest to you.
Especially
were
the people closest to
discouraging.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because that's especially the people closest to you, because the
Huge.
people,
Build
the
you up.
further I was, it was more positive. Oh, you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want.
Right.
You think so?
Yeah.
And people that knew me, they're like, yeah, you're not going to do shit. Excuse my language.
No, but I love this because maybe some part of you, maybe that's part of it, is you draw people around you that support your negative thoughts.
Yes, but we
you
are.
or
But family
stay in those
circles are
relationships,
family
yeah.
circles are
Yeah.
strong.
Right.
Friend circles are strong.
Yeah.
In high school, you will hang out with anybody just because they're in your class,
Right.
and there's all sorts of different thoughts there.
Yeah.
So if you hang out with a certain, that's it's influencing you.
Yeah.
Everybody says influences when you're little, but you hang out with the wrong crowd in high school,
Yeah.
you're gonna be.
Yeah, that was one of the best parenting advice I ever got. Was someone said, they took their kids away from kids that were negative influences. as
Well,
hard
we
as that
moved from.
was.
There was a town we used to live in Cartersville,
Right.
and then we went to church one time, and the preacher's like, "Look around. This is your kids are gonna they're gonna marry some of these people in this room," and we're like, the girl's mom and I looked at each other. We're like, "We're moving."
Yeah.
I sounds terrible.
Like Curtis. I hope nobody's from Curtis.
Yeah, but I know that sounds terrible. But
Right.
but it was like, oh, there was a realization that like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, he's right.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of subtle. I don't always think.
It is
I don't
subtle.
think it's when you're young, just at any moment. One thing I do love about this, we've only done this class a couple times. We've done the relationship class more, but almost always there's somebody's goal is, or the end result of the class is, they end relationships. And that, I don't think is such a bad thing. I mean,
No,
when
no.
you go through it and recognize, okay.
Well, and
things
one of
are
the things,
bad for me.
one of the things that it's hard to do is like, okay, I'm not happy.
Right.
Why? I'm in a terrible,
Yeah.
I'm in a terrible relationship.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be in a bad relationship, no relationship. No, actually, if you haven't done it, you need to do it, because you need to, and not have this rush to be with somebody else.
Yeah.
Be okay with yourself,
Yeah.
because then you're like,
That's
what?
a good tip.
This guy's not bad, and I got a lot to offer. And if she doesn't want me, that's cool.
Yeah, be okay with yourself.
Be okay
is a
with yourself,
great tip.
yeah.
But also, I think we avoid the analysis that you're talking about. So I think I know a lot of people who just go through the motions of the unhappy life without thinking, how do I want my life to be different?
I hate to
What
say
do I
it,
need
most
to do
people,
to have
most
it be
people,
different? Yeah. And who do I need to get rid of in my life for it to be different, right?
and guess where it shows up?
Yeah.
In my
in
office.
In your shoulders. And
Why
your
does
neck.
your neck hurt? Because
Yeah.
you work at a shitty job that you hate. You have a wife that you hate.
Right.
Your kids don't like you. What do you think is going to happen here?
Right.
Your body's in fight or flight constantly,
Yeah.
and that has long-term effects.
Yeah.
So,
This is why I love your story of where you were at when your bad things happened.
yes, sir.
Would you like recommend like going out and like grounding yourself outside?
Yeah. I mean, there is something to that. I mean, if you walk barefoot in soil, on grass, or whatever, and there's research that says that there is an electric charge in it, and the frequency of the earth is you need it to heal. Actually, one of the instrument that I use to adjust it's called, the frequency of the earth is called Schurman's frequency, and that is what the gun that I use has. I don't know how many hertz it is, but it's tuned to that frequency. So that's how important that is. Yeah, I don't tell people, oh, walk around ground, dude. Yeah, knock yourself out. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. That's a good habit.
Well, I do think that all these, I just gave a short list: positive visualization, prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it, mindfulness.
Prayer.
They're all doing the same sort of.
Yeah,
At least
prayer.
at
I mean, like
least
let's
they're tuning into the awareness of what's
Yeah.
going on and why, maybe. That's
But-
why I asked you about why. When you were doing do you ever delve into what are the subconscious thoughts that are causing that? But I guess the idea
But-
is if you just release them, then you're
right, and you could do.
hypnotherapy, whatever way that you do that.
And traditional therapy tries to why and then why and why, and that's your background.
Right.
That's why you're
Yeah. Right.
No, but I'm not putting it down. But it's
Right.
like, and that's how you get a realization. Somebody eventually will have a self-realization. It's like, oh, I'm going through all these patterns. I need to change.
Right.
You
I love that you said, because we have talked about the behavioral perspectives as they apply to motivation and behavior change, and I do think it does depend on the perspective. Some of these questions, like the childhood one, is a very psychodynamic question. Of like what's trapped inside from your childhood unconsciously that's
Right.
influencing your relationships, your ability to achieve your goals, all of that.
But and the thing is, it doesn't even have to be it could be any event that is causing a change in your wiring, programming, how you perceive the world. Now, if I come outside and 3 dogs attack me,
Yeah, it could happen later.
it's
right.
I could have PTSD about
Right.
dogs and
Right.
change my
But
life.
you did mention trauma. Your parents fighting was trauma to
Uh-huh.
a certain extent, little t trauma, but still trauma. And how does that?
But
affect
but it made a little
Yeah.
change in my perception of the world, and it's like, well, if I act like this, and this was totally something, because no kid consciously wants to be sick, but I'm like, if I create this,
Yeah.
then my parents won't fight.
Mhm.
So guess what? I created myself asthmatic.
Right. But you were unaware of it, which is
Right.
the psychodynamic
Yeah.
piece. But the other thing you have addressed is the cognitive stuff. The affirmations, the thoughts are very cognitive, and I guess they're having an influence that's maybe an unconscious influence without or addressing some of the unconscious stuff, affirmations maybe. So you addressed cognitive, you definitely addressed biological because you were talking about the brain and
Sure.
all of this, the physical aspect of this, so. And I don't know, I think probably the one that goes most unnoticed in terms of behavior change is, you mentioned authenticity. All of that is very humanistic. You know, if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not feeling good about yourself or your path, or you're not being authentic, then it's hard to make the change. That
I mean, and
you're
there's
doing it for other people and not for yourself.
and there's ways, you know, you can explain that like on the religious
I'm just-
I mean,
yeah.
like, you know, you got to do what God wants you to do, or you could
Yeah.
be like, you got to be true to yourself and true to
Yeah.
your path and whatever,
Right.
like in a more new agey way, or you can
Yeah.
like totally like in, you know, psychoanalyze it and lay it out that way. But it's basically all the same thing, that when you're on the right path, you're on the, you know.
Right.
And by the way, when you're on the right path, things get incredibly easy.
Yeah. I like that.
And that's one thing
And
I
you'll
noticed,
know.
because
Right.
when I didn't know how I was going to pay for school, when I didn't know any of this stuff, things just happened, like literally crap out of the blue, that there's no way it could have happened any other way, and it's almost like somebody's like pushing you. You're like in the stream, like in the Gulf Stream, like whoosh, like, okay, what the hell's going on? Because you're on the path that you're supposed to be. Because you know, if you're not in the current, then you're not on your right path. That's another thing. This is way philosophical. Life is supposed to be easy. You're supposed to be in the flow. If life is not easy, if life is hard, you're not in your flow.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want to bring this back to your situation, but why are you not fired up to go to class? You know, that's the question. Like,
Because I used to have all this motivation, never missed class. Luckily I still have a good GPA. It's just this semester.
That's the old you though. But like when we did that here, that's new change.
Yeah.
I don't even want you thinking about that.
Oh, sorry, I took
Yeah.
you back to the
Yeah,
old you.
I don't even want you thinking
Well,
about that.
My bigger point of bringing it up though was, what's going on that you know, I don't want to say maybe you needed to take a semester off or whatever, but what you said about it should flow, you know,
It should flow.
something's going on that's making you not want to be here.
Right
and what
now,
is that?
to me, there's no point of getting my bachelor's in health and wellness when I just want to go into the Chattanooga State College for their physical therapist assistant program.
Well, there you go. There is your frickin' answer right there.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I like this because you're saying I'm not on the path that I need to be on to be motivated, kind of thing.
No, but it's scary to like commit to that.
Yeah, to switch, to make a change.
I went ahead and did this semester because I'm like, I only have 2 more years, maybe less than that, until I graduate with a bachelor's. But
All right.
now I'm like, I don't need it. I just want to do what I.
What about? I want to give you an invitation to something that I think would be perfect for you. And by the way, this is to everybody.
Open invitation.
An open. Well, and I don't. You know, we're not.
Pushing chiropractic.
But Life University has a program. It is called Life Leadership Weekend, and it's designed because they're very aligned with. Well,
Figuring
it's
yourself out,
it's the same philosophy. You got to be passionate about what you do. So what they do is it's like a team building. It's 2 days. They will pay for your hotel because ultimately they do want you to become chiropractors, but use it for what it is. It is designed. It's a 2-day course designed to get to what your passions are. Okay, so. And a lot of people go, they're like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. The campus is great, blah, blah, blah. I know what I want to do. It's not this. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out. But it's not this. And they know what they want to do. Because it's designed to kind of like, well, what do you know, this about you. And I did the course
Yeah.
because when they recruit, because I volunteer sometimes.
Right.
I'll go over there. And I did the course. And I'm okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't get the same experiences that these
Somebody
guys did.
else, yeah.
Because I was seeing people break down and cry
Yeah.
over doing, you know, when they do a blindfold and you follow the
Thrill
little
stuff,
string.
Yeah.
I was like, I just kind of followed and there was a crowd of people there, and I tried to avoid it, and I tried to, you know, but some people are they're just having these cathartic experiences. I'm like, oh my God. But that's what it's for. If you don't, and maybe it's because I knew what my life path was.
Right.
But if you didn't, it got you. You know.
Yeah, but you already sound drawn to something else,
Yes.
which is a big
Like, I
indicator
know
that
it's-
this isn't.
yeah.
So I would like to give you that offer, that invitation, or any of you.
Send me the info.
Yeah, and by the way, it applies to everybody. Find me, send me a message. I'll give you all my info. This if you're on the, I don't know what I want to do with myself. This will help you.
I feel badly. I need to apologize. First of all,
Okay.
we need to thank Dr. Dan. But we actually went overtime and
Okay.
I didn't realize that so if you got another class, you got to run. But thank
Yeah.
you, Dr. Dan. Terrific.
Thank you guys. I love you.
Okay.